explained. And one of the researchers is a very well-known astrophysicist today, astronomer today, at a major university. I just can't remember his name right now. They believed they were hearing what appeared to be coherent signals. But what amazed me is this research was done in the 70s, and I was so excited about it. I thought, why didn't you guys continue on this line? And I think the reason they didn't continue on that line is there wasn't a strong enough case to explain why this apparent intelligent data was coming in. And now when you kind of add all the pieces together and you realize that no super intelligent civilization would be broadcasting anything in the radio spectrum because it travels at the speed of light and it's much too slow, and you're starting to see this evidence of action at a distance through hydrogen aqueous systems like the sun and bodies of water and telepathy, the evidence is overwhelming. And I know there are a lot of conservative scientists, because they're not personally involved in the research, and this is one of the arguments of Martin Chaplin in the UK, who's in the film Water, the Great Mystery. And his argument is that these people who say that water doesn't have memory, who are scientists, haven't been participating. Rustum Roy at Penn State University is another strong proponent for the idea that water has consciousness and memory. And all of this research is going on in American universities, Austrian universities, Japanese universities, China. All of this research is going on all the time, and it doesn't get reported. And really, thanks to your show, this kind of information starts to get out there. And if we support it, I believe the answers to our greatest questions, all of our greatest questions, including, my ultimate, journey to find, proof and evidence of extraterrestrial or beyond Earth, communication and intelligence. So if we start, where I would like to see this go is, this exploring the ideas for nuclear fusion, healing on the body, reclaiming polluted waterways with restructured water, and then developing super sensors using water as the base. And that is already happening in Russia. That is actually already happening. Konstantin Korotkov, I actually interviewed him about this, and he's a professor with several PhDs at St. Petersburg Tech University. And he said they actually pointed, using one of these new sensors, pointed the sensor at the actual position of the Sirius star system, where it really is. And where you see it in the sky, it's the brightest star in the sky. It's 8.7 light years away. You're seeing it where it was in a delayed reaction because you're seeing it where it was 8.7 years ago. Its real position, when they pointed this new sensor at it, they got a signal. And I went, oh, my God, that is the most exciting thing I've ever heard. That means we can develop sensors that can tune into this action at a distance, instantaneous transmission of information. And that means, and the other thing that really strikes me is you think of the idea that the ancient Hindus say that when you reach nirvana or super enlightenment, and nirvana for the Buddhist or enlightenment for the Hindu, the world appears as an illusion, as a maya. It's not the real world. In physics, we see everything in delayed time because light, which we use to measure everything, is not instantaneous. So we're not really seeing the real-time universe. We are seeing a universe, and it is real to us. But it's not real-time, meaning happening right now. This information that travels instantaneously through Einstein's spooky action at a distance is right now all the time, which means if we could get its eyesight, if we could get its sense, we could perceive what's happening anywhere in the universe instantaneously. Right now. We would see Andromeda as it is right now. We would see Sirius as it is right now. We would see everything as it is right now, and that is a different universe. It's probably more spectacular. It's probably more, it's definitely current, but it would be the greatest revelation in science. I feel looking in the radio wave spectrum and the great numbers of money that Spielberg has contributed to SETI, it was a great experiment, but we need to move on. We need to move on because we realize this is not where.
Well, and Paul Allen, too. Hey, by the way, does this sound right? Sirius magnitude 6 for that star?
Oh, the magnitude of the star?
Yeah, 6, I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's the brightest star in the sky, so that would be a high magnitude, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the phones. West of the Rockies in Phoenix, Stephen, you're on with David Sarita. Hi there.
Hi, David. Hi, George.
Hey, Stephen.
I'm calling about restructured water, obviously, and I'm working in the field, and I've worked with Rustin Roy and and some of the other people, and he published a paper that showed that, and I restructure it with a resonance chamber, a high-energy resonance chamber, and we've also worked in different spectrums, light, microwaves, RF, sound, that sort of stuff, and we have been able to prove, in fact, I'm working it with right now because we're curing some kidney disease and liver disease with restructured water, and I hope we're about to enter some clinical tests with it, and it should be pretty soon. But we've been able to bring kidneys that were on the verge of dying back to full health again. Liver disease cured in a week. And restructured water, one of the things we've done, I've had some tests done at universities also. We've been able to cure concrete in 4 days versus 28 days, and it cures at twice the strength of normal concrete.
Oh, my God. This is exciting stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, plants grow twice as fast. And if you talk to Rustin, you'll find out that he published a paper that showed that water can be restructured and retain its structure for a long period of time, and it was on the work that I did. And he published it at the Material Research Society of America.
That's
so.
Great.
What is your name?
What's my name?
Yeah.
Stephen. You want the last name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Settlemeyer.
Wow, that is fantastic. Yeah, of course, Rustin Roy is one of the most profound researchers, George, in this field, and he's also in Water, the Great Mystery. So, you're saying that you're making positive progress for reclaiming or
which is what we were talking about, David. That is fine. By the way, Sirius, the magnitude is minus 1.42 apparently.
Oh,
so I'm learning my astronomy again.
No, that's something else.
Does it see? It just says the visual magnitude of minus 1.42 is twice as bright as any other star in our sky.
Mm-hmm. It's the brightest star in the sky.
Yeah. Well, we know that. But minus. So maybe minus means bright, huh?
I don't know. I'm seeing that on Wikipedia right now, and I don't know. It says, let's see, it's about twice as massive as the sun and has an absolute visual magnitude of 1.42. Is 25 times more luminous than the sun.
It should be minus 1.42.
Well, that first one says minus, but then later it says, I don't know.
Yeah, mine says minus, too, on space.com.
Right. Oh, and space.com, okay.
All right,
I don't know
Stephen,
if that's a dash or a minus, but you can check on that.
Next, let's go to Gainesville, Florida. Teague, you're on Coast to Coast. First-time caller. Hi there.
Hey, George. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
I'm a music teacher down here and a musician. I teach guitar and piano.
Okay.
And I was listening to you earlier talking about Pythagoras and the music of the spheres. Of course, Pythagoras also credited with discovering the layout of the scale, the harmonic sequence in the
right.
scale. Obviously, well, like, harmonics is essentially the geometry of sound. And I can see how when it interacts with water, it sort of, restructures the geometry of its energetics. I was thinking about when you're talking about heavy metal and how that maybe affects water differently and why some people find that pleasant versus other people finding Mozart pleasant. When you take two speakers and point them at each other, if they're playing like the same things, it'll phase out the sound, right?
Yes.
They cancel each other out.
Right.
That's the theory of some of the black helicopters and why they're silent, right?
Right. They phase each other. They phase out the sound of the engine.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I was thinking if you had certain like negative energies in you already, and your water in you was already affected with these negative energies, you would maybe need to phase them out with the same type of energy.
Well, that's a very creative idea. That's really interesting. Wow. I know. Anyway, I read Pythagoras, the Music of the Spheres by Jamie James, which is an excellent read about Pythagoras and how he gave birth to the intervallic system and the monochord, which led to first he